Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode about the 80s town of Lego that I'm building. In the previous episode we already talked a bit about lighting and I wanted to spend a whole episode about that. So here we are. So you were a bit divided on the previous episode. There were two light settings that I could use. One was with the original yellowish light that come off of the 12 volt light bricks, and the other one was a bit post edited and was a bit brighter, so you could see a bit more detail, but it didn't have that classic 12 volt look. So you were a bit divided on that. One half liked the 12 volt look and the other half liked the brightened look better. So now I'm a step further because I've installed a little moonlight, and let me cut the power first on this light here, otherwise I'm going to show you the backdrop. Here we are. So here we are. Here's a very small light that outputs very cold light. That was also its purpose. It looks like it's very little, and it is very little, but it reflects off just a bit of light from the ceiling towards in the town, and this is actually enough. Right now I got the camera on auto, and that's why you don't see a lot. So for the next extra shot I'm going to put it on manual, you see a bit more. So let's begin with the light experiment. So I need to add something before I continue, and that is I've pumped up the voltage of the 12 volt lights that you see here. I had it neatly on 12 volt like they're rated for, but I noticed that the output of the 12 volt transformer, the gray one, is actually 14 volts. So I put the lights on 14 volts, and that already makes everything a bit more clear. So I think that's a good choice. I think they can handle 14 volts as well. So that's the shot that you see now is actually without the moonlight. I'm going to enable the moonlight now. I got the camera set on ISO 400. I actually don't want to go any higher than 400 because then you get a lot of extra noise in the image. There's already some noise in the image right now, so I'm gonna set it also on 200 or something like that later on. So I just have to experiment a bit. So this is ISO 400 without the moonlight. I'm gonna enable the moonlight now on 9 volt. Well, you can see the difference now. At least I see it with my eyes. You don't see it on the camera screen as much. So this is with the moonlight enabled on 9 volts. And let's enable the moonlight on 12 volts and see how that looks. And this is how it looks on 12 volts. Again, I don't seem to notice much difference, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm only looking at the screen and not at the actual footage itself. So we're gonna redo this experiment, but now on ISO 200. So this is ISO 200 without the moonlight. I'm gonna now enable the moonlight on 9 volts. So this is with moonlight 9 volts, and let's see what it does on moonlight 12 volts with ISO 200. So this is ISO 200 with the moonlight on 12 volts. So these are the different settings that I can use. So I'm gonna download the video files to my computer and have a look and make a top 3 or something like that. So these are the 4 images. We got ISO 400 on the left, ISO 200 on the right. Looking at the picture like this, I'd say that ISO 200 has too much noise and grain in them. That's not what I expected, honestly, but I think it has to do with the fact that there's just not enough light for ISO 200. So I'm looking at this on my 32-inch 4K screen. So I'm able to see the noise, but so if you're looking at this on an HD monitor or even your phone, I imagine that you can't see the noise. So because every picture that you see here is scaled down 50%. So we're gonna do now, set the 4 pictures like you see here, but then in 100% so you can see the grain a bit better. So let's start with that. So when you look at ISO 400, I think the moon at 9 volt doesn't give enough light, because the image is a bit dark, you can't see very much. On the other hand, the moon on 12 volt with ISO 400, it's a bit too bright maybe. So ISO 400 12 volt is the best option for grain and noise. So what do you think? Is this image a bit too bright on the lower left corner? So my camera has also the option for ISO 320. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna replace the ISO 200 with the ISO 320 and see how that looks. So here we are with ISO 320 on the right side, and if I look at 320 at 9 volts, there's too much grain. It's not gonna be it. When I compare ISO 400 9 volts and ISO 320 with 12 volts, they're pretty much the same, but the ISO 400 on 9 volt is a bit more clear, looks a bit better than the ISO 320 at 12 volts, if you ask me. The best picture noise-wise is obviously still the ISO 400 and 12 volt, but it's a bit on the bright side, so I'm not sure yet. So what I'm gonna do now is gonna make 3 videos with a running train on the 3 settings, the 2 ISO 400s and the ISO 320 with the moon at 12 volts. And based on that, we're gonna also apply a noise filter and see how the video comes out of it. And we're gonna ask you to make a final decision. I'll have my preferences as well, but I wanna know what you're thinking. So I made 2 shots with the 3 settings, one a close-up and one a bit further away. So let's start with here, close-up one. So what you see here is, when you look at the brightness, is that the ISO 400 12 volt and ISO 320 12 volt doesn't make very much difference. So these are roughly the same, but if I look at the noise, I'd say that ISO 400 wins a bit, just by a little bit. ISO 400 at 9 volt is a bit dark. So I'm getting used to the image of ISO 400. So before I was like, it's too light, but actually when I look at it, I kind of like it. So let's also have a look at the overview shots. Now when you look at this, it's pretty much the same. 320, 400 at 12 volt look like each other. Noise-wise, the 400 wins just barely, as far as you even can see it. 9 volt is a bit dark. So what's next? Well, I think that ISO 400 on 12 volt looks the best, because you can see a lot of detail, and yes, 400 on 9 volt is a bit darker, but I don't know. I think on ISO 400 the whole thing looks a bit better with all the lighting. So let me know what you think about this. So right now I'm going to continue with the both ISO 400s, since ISO 320 at 12 volt looks pretty much the same as ISO 400 on 12 volt. So we got 2 contestants left, and we're going to apply a noise filter and see how that looks. So this is the denoised footage. I'm not going to bother you with the settings for the denoiser. This is the best I could get out of it. There's still noise visible, but if I denoise it even further, then you start to cripple the image. So I don't want to do that. So I'm happy with this end result. So my question to you is, should I use a 9 volt moon or should I use the 12 volt moon? If I use the 12 volt, you see a lot more detail. You see a bit what's going on, but it's not like the sun has set completely, you know. So at 9 volt, the whole image is a bit darker, but maybe also a bit better. So please let me know. This is it for today. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.